Long down the right side. Caught. Touchdown, Washington State.
Booby. He is there. Booby. Chesty, long three.
What a catch by Phillip Bobo.
The Palouse is going to pop.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Field House Report. As always, this is Drew Kalahar coming to you with Cougar Carlson. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. How about yourself?
I can't complain. I am a little jealous, though, that you got to spend some time on the west side in Bellevue at the Cougs' first event. How was it?
Man, that event was so much fun. So many businesses and opportunities for people to network, and just there was vendors too. People could buy things. I got to connect with the guy that's selling his barbecue sauce. And he's got so many variations, and there's so many other vendors there, whether it was jewelers or insurance companies, and just a lot of great people, a lot of great Cougs just having fun. And there was many drinks to be had as well. And my daughter got to come and see the event with me, so that was fun.
That's awesome. That father-daughter time, it's hard to beat. I also heard you got one of the tattoos that Tony was offering for free. How was that?
I sure did. It was a great experience. It was easy going, although if you saw some photos from it, I kind of grimaced a little bit and grunted, but I'm not saying I'm tough by any stretch, but tough enough to be a Coug, so it was great.
Hey, you're tougher than me. I don't have any ink yet, so you're gonna have to. And you got it on the ankle was the location that was finally chosen.
That's right.
Okay. I was hoping for the forehead or something, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean that would have been a good show. I could have probably finally boxed Mike Tyson or something.
Could you imagine just a script logo right across the forehead?
Kind of like your Cougars hat, like right
yeah,
there.
exactly. It'd just be the hat. Yeah. I'd never have to wear the hat again.
Yeah. No, exactly. No, I sure wouldn't.
That's awesome. Well, before we go too much farther, I just got to put in a little plug for Old Crimson, legendary
Old Crimson Lager.
Yeah,
I love
find it, get it. I saw that it was on tap at Cella's when I was there last Friday. So find a way, Cougs. Support the Cougar Athletic Fund. Do what you do and drink a lot of beer and raise money for Cougar Athletics.
Cougar Collective, by the way.
Cougar Collective. Yes. Yeah, one and the same.
You've only had, the little bit of beer so far.
Yeah, I'm this far and I'm already confusing things here.
Yeah.
We'll see where we're at by the end of this.
Yeah. Well, again, we certainly had a great time at Cougs First. It was an awesome event that was run by Tony Poston. We got to listen to Dr. Cantwell, which I think she's every bit the leader that Washington State has been looking for, and I'm just excited to have her running our university and hopeful for what she can bring to the table too. So,
yeah, super excited just hearing her talk about the importance of athletics in the grand scheme of things. And, we talked to Glenn O off and on and just about the importance of athletics being the front door to the university and the biggest marketing tool that the university has. It's good to see a president that understands that and is willing to spend the time to make sure that it's successful as part of the overall university.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I think she gets it, right? At the end of the day, she just gets it. And I think she also gets being a Coug based on everything I've heard so far and seen. I got to kind of see her from a few feet away and just wave, but nevertheless, she seemed very approachable too. So,
yeah, that goes a long way. I don't live too far from the president's house, so it's always nice to have another good neighbor around. Okay, so it's been a while since we've gotten to just talk. We've had some awesome guests. If you get a chance, go back and watch our interview with Eric Johnson, or go back and watch our interview with Tony Poston. Those were both just incredible interviews, incredible Cougs. It's been awesome to have the honor of talking to both of them. But two big transfers coming into Cougar football, both quarterbacks. Now, we did have an offensive lineman as well, but we're going to focus on the QBs first. So Ajon Shepard and Julian Dugger. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yep. Shepard, obviously from Rutgers, Dugger from Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts on adding these two new Cougs?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of like, well, isn't Zevi like the guy? And I love Rogers. He's like, why would he be the guy? I mean, the season hasn't started. We haven't figured out anything yet. We're just kind of getting our feet wet within spring football, obviously transitioning to summer ball here. But, I think putting in, certainly in this transfer portal era, putting pressure on these kids to perform in these situations, you're basically saying, this is when you have to perform. You can't wait till August 30th when we have a game to perform. I need you to perform now. And if these two portal guys put more pressure on you, or they're the ones that show up and rise to the occasion, then at the end of the day, it's whoever gets to the top of the mountain, right? Like you need that guy to be leading the team.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it.
I absolutely love it. And the thing about it does remind me a little bit of, I don't know if you remember, but in 2019, everybody just figured that Anthony Gordon was going to be the guy. Well, then we bring in Gage Gabrud from Eastern, and all of a sudden, everybody thinks he's going to be the guy. They had a great quarterback battle, and then Anthony Gordon ends up being the man and literally breaking just about every record we had at WSU.
Yeah.
And having one of the most dominant offenses, if that Cougar team had a defense. But
he had the quickest release I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh,
under Mike Leach.
He knew that offense so well. It was just so fun to watch. But I think that could be a similar situation where it only helps to have that extra competition, to have to show up every day in practice and bring your A game. And there's none of this like, well, I know I'm the guy, so I can maybe take this rep 50%. So and then not to mention the depth, right? We're only going to have Zevi for one season. So adding those guys that can take a year to learn the offense, and then hopefully, if they're not the guy this year, be ready to take over in 2026.
Yeah, well, Julian Dugger was a freshman this last season at Pitt. And right now I'm remiss if I knew exactly what Ajon Shepard was, but just having younger underclassmen just even prepare to try to take over if that is the case. I mean, it's every bit of what I think we need is trying to build a younger team that understands what Coach Rogers is looking for. And he certainly knows what he's looking for. He's, as Jack Thompson stated, the throwing Samoan, he is as serious as a heart attack when you listen to him talk. He really is.
Absolutely. Well, beyond those two quarterback transfers, the transfer, honestly, that I'm the most excited about, Jalen Caldwell. Wait, I think we texted each other right as soon as we saw it live. This guy is 6'7", 330 pounds. You are talking about a very large man.
Yes. Jalen the Juggernaut. The last time we had anything close to this was Cody the Continent, that obviously Coach Leach had coined. But I think having a kid this big to protect your quarterback is something that we desperately need, and particularly in an offensive scheme like this, right, where we're going to pound and ground and run the ball. You need a big hoss like this that can really move out, that's physical. And I'm looking forward to seeing if he can make the starting lineup. So
honestly, the last 3-4 years, I haven't felt like our offensive line has been terrible, but we have certainly lacked depth. Basically, every single time we lose a starter, we're having to play somebody that's just really raw. And kudos to those guys for stepping in and doing their best, but you can just tell that it's not quite the same. And again, like you alluded to, in this offense, we have to be able to push people off the ball and gain 3 yards when we need to. Otherwise, it's just going to be running into a brick wall, and then it won't lend itself much to that play action passing game.
Yeah, and obviously, that's kind of with looking at the spring showcase, that's really what we're looking for, is to kind of run off the play action. And obviously, I actually am looking forward to seeing the defense and how they handle offensive games this season, or against offenses from opposing teams this season. It's going to be exciting because that team flies around like they're all madmen. They really do.
Yeah. No, I think we all thought Dickert was a good defensive coach, good defensive head coach, but I think we're about to see something that we haven't seen in Pullman in quite some time. So I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to
Palouse Posse Part 2, right? Like that's what I think
it.
we'll find under this
Yeah.
new leadership. So
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Now, another big piece of news that was announced in between the last two times that we got to talk was the 2025 media deal and our kickoff times for all of our home football games. So I, I'll run through them really quick, and then I'll hear your thoughts. So the Cougs kick off the season against Idaho on August 30th. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff on the
right.
CW. The
Yep.
following week is homecoming. They host the San Diego State Aztecs at 7:15, also on the CW. Now the big one, September 20th, 4:30 or 5 on CBS against the Mutts in Pullman. That'll be a fun one for sure.
Oh yeah, we'll be there.
And then we get a little break. They're on the road for 3 games. They also have a bye week mixed in there. So they're not home again until October 25th when they face Toledo. That's at 12:30 on the CW. They then play against Louisiana Tech on November 15th. That's on at 7 p.m. on the CW. And then they wrap up the season against the Beavers of Oregon State at 3:30 on the CW. So looking at the schedule, looking at the media deal, what stands out to you? What are your thoughts?
I think first and foremost is that the schedule is out. We're not playing this waiting game like we used to with the likes of Fox and ESPN. You know, even when we would get to the season, we'd kind of be in these waiting games sometimes where we wouldn't find out when the Apple Cup would be. And
Yep.
you're like, you plan your whole life around that, right? If you're a Coug and you want to be at the
Yep.
Apple Cup or you want your eyes to be at the TV. And I think knowing the schedule, I don't care who you are and where you're from in the state of Washington or even in the state of Idaho or Oregon, and you're a Coug and you've got kids and you're got these schedules, you know your schedule to get to the darn games.
Yeah.
And like,
Yep.
there's just no excuse not to get to games this season. We
Yeah.
need to be there to support our Cougs.
Yeah, and that was something that Ann McCoy talked about going into last season was that we would know the kickoff times, but there was still, I believe, 3 games where they said 12:30 or 7. And it's like, yikes, that's a pretty big difference for people that are trying to make their plans. So yeah,
Exactly.
huge deal. The 7 o'clock kickoffs are always one that people gripe about, but with however many months to plan, you should be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And man, can I just say, sunset on the Palouse for during the Apple Cup in prime time on CBS. How are you going to beat that? During the stripe out. It's going to be beautiful. So
It's gonna be glorious. If I had
yeah.
an old Crimson here, I got my Cougar Cup.
Yeah, and it sounds like what we're looking at here now is that it's been hinted at by Canzano and a few other people that what we see in 2025 will likely be what we see moving forward. And what we see in 2025 is the CW taking the majority of the home games, with the bigger games being taken on by CBS and ESPN. And they're willing to put us in prime time. I believe CBS, the home game against CBS, obviously at 4:30 against the Huskies, but then we play at 5 p.m. On CBS at Oregon State. So right there, 2 games in prime time on national TV. I mean, I love this.
I'm just excited that we obviously have the schedule. CBS is huge. I think obviously the bigger games are just it's more exciting because it's on a bigger network, and so it'll be broadcasted further across the country. So we have more reach, right? To expand our
Yeah.
brand. But I think the CW has done an exceptional job last season in really trying to support Washington State, Oregon
Yep.
State, in aligning with what they foresee as like a great opportunity for them to get into college athletics and really dive into what's going to be the future of the Pac-12. And for that, I'm actually excited that CW is the one that's basically showcasing us, and not basically, but they are
Yeah.
showcasing us. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah. In 100% of households. I mean, I'll say it. I mean, I know we're not getting the same payouts, but this, as far as exposure goes, this is a better deal than what we had in the old Pac-12.
Right.
Nobody could get those games when we were hidden on the Pac-12 network. I mean, if you were a fan, even a diehard fan, that you had to jump through hoops to get those games on, the fact that we're available in 100% of homes across the country, it's hard to beat.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. No, I think it's fun. Yeah. All right. And with other news, NBA bound Cedric Coward, who played in approximately 5 games this season, is bound for the NBA. What is likely to be a first-round draft pick based on reports that we're reading right now, which is certainly surprising when you don't have a lot within that last season. But this would basically be 3 seasons in a row. Muhammad Gay, Jalen Wells, and Cedric Coward that all came out of Washington State. I just think there's something that a lot of fans and a lot of athletes should be paying attention to. You come to Washington State, you can still have this opportunity. Drew, tell me, what are your thoughts?
Well, I love that he's going to go into the NBA as a Coug. I feel a little bad for Eastern Washington because that's where most of his film came from. It's kind of how we feel about, I'm sure, how it'll be when Mateer is in the NFL with Oklahoma. But at this point, I feel like they should almost start just saying like every school that somebody plays for, because the odds of somebody actually playing for one school and then going.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, it's so huge for WSU. It's so huge for David Riley. It doesn't surprise me from what we saw out of his film at Eastern Washington and the few little glimpses we saw at WSU. The guy is just a pure talent. And honestly, I know we've talked about it, but what this season could have been with him healthy. It could have been really, really special, but happy for him, happy for the Cougs, and excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, I actually think that if he were healthy, this team would have meshed much better together.
Yeah.
I do believe that this team would have competed against the likes of Gonzaga a little better. I just think that there was just pieces that were, he was basically the missing piece here that would have propelled us to another level. And I wish that obviously he would have stayed healthy, but things happen. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. But he's an awesome advocate for WSU. He's an awesome advocate for David Riley. So just having that going forward as far as recruiting goes, is going to be huge for our program. So even if he didn't help us get the wins on the court when he was there, I think his impact will be felt in the long run because of his time here. So
yeah.
Okay, so we've covered all of the serious topics. Now we have a real debate, a hard-hitting question, one that we're really going to have to hash out here. I know we both have strong opinions about this, but Barstool Wazzu this week posted. It's hard to have that lead in and then say Barstool Wazzu this week, but they posted a hypothetical question. You have Minshew, Leaf, and Bledsoe in their prime on your roster, and you have to start one, you have to bench one, and you got to cut one. You're the head coach. What's your call? Hide.
Generationally, everybody's going to disagree with me, so it really don't matter. You could make a case for obviously any one of them, but I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to say you start Drew Bledsoe, okay?
Okay.
You bench Minshew and you cut Leaf. And I know that's so hard for people to hear. I'll explain. I'll elaborate.
Let's hear it.
I believe that Bledsoe would have obviously been able to potentially get to the Rose Bowl under what his talent level was at Wazzu, which is obviously why he was number 1 overall. But I also believe that basically you have similar offenses and you have a balanced quarterback that has worked a different type of offense. So I'm trying to get a little bit more balanced in that sense, and maybe a more mobile quarterback too as a backup. Sure. So it offers a different lens. It's nothing to do with Leaf. I love him. Obviously, he brought us to the first Rose Bowl in 67 years. But that's just where I stand. How about you, Drew?
I see what you're saying. I mean, one of the things to your point about Bledsoe, that team, people forget that 1992 team was 5-0.
Right.
And then they lost to Oregon at home, and then things kind of derailed for a couple games. They also had to play on the road at the Coliseum, which is always a tough one. But I would actually agree with you for the most part, but not completely. So I'd say start Drew. I think that's the one. Like, you talk about just a pure passer, the cannon arm, precision, accuracy, ability to throw under pressure. He was tough too. He got hit and just kept on fighting. I mean, he's got to be number one. The way he shredded the Huskies in the snow that year in 92, he was like it was a sunny day in September. It didn't faze him one bit. But here's where I disagree. I'd bench Leaf and I would cut Minshew. And the reason why is this. Leaf, Minshew, I would give Leaf the physical attributes over Minshew for sure. Bigger arm, bigger body. I would give Minshew the poise and control, the mindset piece of it. I think especially at that time, Leaf could lose his cool if the other team got under his skin or whatever. But so keeping things even at this point. But when the Pac-12 title was on the line, both quarterbacks got to play the Huskies with everything at stake. For Leaf, it was the first Rose Bowl in 67 years. For Minshew, it was potentially a college football playoff berth, a Pac-12 title berth. And what happened? Leaf marched into Husky Stadium and kicked the crap out of the Huskies, sent us to Pasadena. Minshew, now he was facing a snowstorm, but didn't quite get the job done in the biggest game. So as much as I love Minshew, he's getting cut, and we're rocking with Bledsoe and Leaf. And honestly, if I had those two guys, I think I would platoon them probably, just alternate drives because they're both pretty stinking good. But that's my final answer.
Yeah, I respect it. I just think that the likes of balancing with someone that's probably going to utilize his checkdowns, his mobility to stretch the field and stretch the play will probably create a balance if Drew Bledsoe were to have gone down. And then if you've got Ryan Leaf in there, you've got someone that's like about the same. So I always like to have that balance where it's not quite the same, so that now
I feel you.
When that injury comes in and that guy on the bench is there, now you got to look at something different because it looks a little different and the precision looks different. So that's why I play it. See, the way I look at it is I'm playing chess. You're playing checkers, bro.
Yeah, well, I like the way that you see it as like I'm actually coaching this team, and I'm gonna have to bring these guys. I like that. It's good. Yeah, I don't know though. Ryan Leaf was pretty nasty when he was
no doubt, legendary quarterback. We love him, and grateful for everything he contributed to Washington State, and still does because he gets to broadcast and talks about Washington State whenever he gets a chance. So.
Yeah, huge advocate. We got to ask those guys that question. I want to hear what their
I want to hear. We should have had that exact question for Jack Tom. Well, he said he's picking himself, so it doesn't matter.
I know he's picking himself every time. I love the confidence.
I love it. I love the moxie that he has still to this day. That's awesome.
It reminds me of that the story that Eric told about that poor Como 4 intern that had to ask him all those questions. That was pretty great. Had me rolling for sure.
Well, that does it for Drew and I. We just wrapping up our episode of the Fieldhouse Report. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drink Old Crimson Lager.
Cheers. Go Cougs.